Away to.
Ooh, now you're talking about consent.
Yes.
Does the bill allow communities to force nor hold the mining companies accountable if they fail to consult meaningfully with mining affected communities and give consent? So without further wasting any time, leaders, I would like to start with our first question, which is introduction to the MPRDA. So I will give a chance to our comrade Phyllia to just give us a brief explanation of what is MPRDA and why it matters to many affected communities. Over to you, Omar.
So you're asking what is the MPRDA, ne?
Yes.
All right. Okay. The MPRDA is basically the South African law which governs the exploration of minerals, mining, and the production of mineral and petroleum resources. So it essentially establishes the state as the custodian of the resources and provides a framework for granting access to them through licensing regime. Ne? So that just means that through this licensing framework that I'm talking about, ne, the South African government then allows the promotion of access to these resources and facilitates the transformation of the mining and minerals industry, particularly to include historically disadvantaged South Africans.
No, thank you, comrade Phyllia, for that introduction. And also, on the 13th of August, we made submissions to the DMIE head office, in which we recognize the newly proposed amendment bill as the betrayal of transformation. So Phyllia has just given us an introduction as to what is MPRDA and its purpose. So moving to our question number 2, in terms of community rights. So I would like for Comrade Phyllia to just give us what are the community rights in terms of MPRDA when it comes to mining or near their land. So yeah, over to you, Comrade.
Community rights.
Yes.
What are community rights in terms of the MPRDA?
Yes.
So in terms of the MPRDA, communities have rights to consultation. They had rights to SLPs, which means basically to benefit from mineral extraction and the operations of mining companies. So they essentially have a right to benefit from mining companies in the sense that, they can benefit from human resource development. So, for example, bursaries and also projects happening on their land as well. So those are examples of ways that communities can benefit from SLPs, which are social and legal plans, right?
Yes.
Other things that communities can benefit from mining in terms of the MPRDA is I'm losing track now because there aren't many ways that communities really benefit in terms of the MPRDA. There's very few ways that the MPRDA really allows for communities to benefit. But in the amendments that are proposed, we see the introduction of artisanal mining, which speaks to the ways that, communities are introduced to mining for themselves, which is very restrictive in a lot of ways. But we're not going to talk about that yet, comrade.
Okay. Noted. Yeah.
But in other ways, in terms of land rights as well, we also find that the MPRDA allows the consultation of communities 3 times a year to update them on the progress of implementation of SLPs. So essentially, there are 2 ways that the MPRDA allows for communities to be included in the conversation, which is consultation and by way of social labor plans.
No, thank you, Comrade Phyllia, for that. We also mentioned consultation. So in the past, the communities have never been consulted in terms of mining operation. So how confident are you that the bill, what it proposes under consultation, is it truly a meaningful consultation, or is just a tick box as to what the bill proposes? And also in terms of consent, because of many affected communities were never given consent as to when the mining companies want to do a prospecting, or when mining company wants to do a prospect on the community land and which they want to operate on. Communities were never consulted and given a consent, and which that has been a serious issue in many affected communities. So what can you say in that regard? So what can communities do to foster consultation and consent? Does the bill allow communities to force nor hold the mining companies accountable if they fail to consult meaningfully with mining affected communities and give consent?
Ooh, now you're talking about consent.
Yes.
Hey, leaderships. So the bill is cited on issues of free, prior, and informed consent for communities, especially those residing on communal or customary land. You will note issues of Waleni and Malade. You know, those were key judgments that came out in the past couple of years, with issues of meaningful consultation came out to really champion the rights of communities. And in those conversations, consent really did come out. The right of communities to consent to extractive and other kind of mineral exploration activities, right?
Yes.
So in that, right, we find ourselves in a crossroads, because the proposed amendments don't speak about consent. They still speak about consultation only. And meaningful consultation does not look the way that communities need it to look still. It still looks like the tick box exercise whereby communities will really not benefit from the I don't know how to phrase this, but from the ways in which the companies will be talking to them about the various activities that are still going to happen on their land. So whether it's prospecting or whether it's going to be actual mining, communities still find themselves unaware of the actual consequences of what is still going to happen, because we still find it the situation whereby communities are still stuck on the same questions of, will we have jobs? Will we have benefits coming to us? But not really realizing that there are environmental concerns that are still coming. And consultation is really about canvassing all of those issues. And we find that with meaningful consultation, we don't know what are the time frames for those things. How long do communities have to look over the documents that companies are going to give them? Are companies going to go directly into communities, or are they going to keep calling small groups of people to go visit them at their offices and call that meaningful consultation? So there are many questions, but it's definitely still not consent. And I always laugh about this question of consultation versus consent, because consultation is like you've already made a decision that something is going to happen, and then you are saying that I must come talk to you about something that's already going to happen. And that's just not really a decision at all.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, true, complete Phyllia. So I will check again. Is Comrade Chaule, has Comrade Chaule joined us? He's one of our guests. Yeah, if so, Comrade Chaule, can you please introduce yourself to our audience? Okay, I think Comrade Chaule is having troubles in terms of connecting, so we will move on. So you've mentioned that in terms of consultation and consent, there is a huge gap in mining companies failing to consult mining communities effectively, and also to ensure that there is free, prior, informed consent before a mining activity can take place. So in which is we have seen the results of communities not being consulted or given a consent in terms of their land. So I would also like to ask you a question in terms of why is MACUA engaging the bill, and what is it that we are hoping to achieve by engaging the bill?
Why are we engaging the bill? Because we're a social movement, right? Yes. And we're concerned with the rights of mining affected communities. It's in the name. Mining affected communities united attached. And because we're concerned with the manner in which the mineral wealth and resources on the countries affect communities disproportionately, and the exclusion of communities from important discourse around matters such as the Amendment Bill, we felt it was important to really engage this process. And the fact that so many community members were unaware that these amendments were even out is even important for us to even have this engagement. So that is why MACUA is engaging this bill. And what was your second question, leadership?
Yeah, that was my question, leadership. That was my question. No, it is clear, comrades, to say that the bill doesn't advocate for the interest of communities at large, but it caters for the interest of the minority, which is the businessmen and the investors, in which it raises a huge concern to mining affected communities. And we have seen in mining affected communities how the impact of mining has been like. So without further wasting any time, I would also like to ask Comrade, in terms of compensation and benefits, how are communities supposed to benefit from mining operation according to the bill? How am I or communities supposed to benefit according to the Amendment Bill?
Sorry, can you repeat that again?
In terms of compensation and benefit, how are communities supposed to benefit from mining operation according to the bill?
Okay, how are communities supposed to benefit in terms of the bill?
Is from mining cooperation according to the
Okay. So basically, in terms of the bill, communities are supposed to benefit by way of SLPs, but more than that, there's this thing called beneficiation. And in terms of beneficiation, there are various ways in which communities are meant to benefit. And beneficiation speaks to procurement policies of mining companies, as well as other means by which communities can benefit, right?
yes.
It's not just through procurement that mining affected communities can benefit. And those are the ways in which the amendment bill proposes that mining affected communities can benefit through the bill.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, no, that you comrade. So in terms of the P, what are the shocking findings you have come across in terms of what has been proposed in the bill vis-a-vis what is happening on the ground? Do you think the bill, as it's supposed to do in terms of transforming communities and also ensuring that communities advance and also there are fair opportunities according to SLP? So in terms of the bill, how do you think communities can be able to challenge the bill if they so feel like the bill doesn't advocate for their interest, but it advocates for the minorities' interest? So what advice can it give to mining affected communities to be able to hold mining companies accountable if they fail to comply or to comply with with what is expected from them?
You said two things there. Yes. You asked firstly how to challenge the bill if you don't agree with the proposed amendments, right?
Yes.
That one there is to comment on the bill. Unfortunately, though, the government is doing a strange thing whereby comments closed on the 13th of August, but the government is only now doing workshops and public participation hearings on the amendments bill. So for me, that is counterintuitive because the government, the government and department should have actually taken the amendment bill on a roadshow prior to the comments actually closing, right? So that people could have had time to make an informed comment on the bill before the closing date of the bill. So my suggestion would have been to say, you comment on the proposed amendments on the 13th of August, which the date has passed. Yes. The second thing you mentioned is if mining companies are, doing things in mining affected communities that mining affected communities do not necessarily agree with or do not feel are for them, what can communities do? Communities must stand up, must take to the streets. We must be united and create paper trails and make sure that we engage these companies directly. For example, what MACUA-WAMUA did last year, they literally took to the streets and started engaging with the mining company directly to make sure that their cries are heard. And there are various different examples of Nakua comrades doing the same thing to make sure that they are engaging these mining companies and making sure that they are making sure that their rights are actually vindicated. Yes, Hiro.
No. Thank you, comrade. So I think we have a question from Comrade Tolage. So Comrade Type can come in.
Yeah, it's not really a question per se, but a comment on what Phyllia has said. So we spoke the other time on the workshops that we did, and the question that I had for you was, how did communities take the whole submission thing, the bill actually? And what came and what interested me was the fact that there is a lack of education in our communities by the department, and as we saw in Mpumalanga the other day, the department did, they hosted a consultation, whatever thingy, and only about 50 people showed up. And it was really, I don't know how to put it, but it seems the department is just trying to tick boxes, but it's also surprising that they're actually trying to do these workshops after we made submissions. What were they doing the entire time prior to the submission? I mean, they opened the bill for public comment in May, right? And waited for us to make submissions, and then they're trying to hold workshops. What are they saying to the people? Are they saying that, okay, these are the amendments that we are proposing, right? You had time from late to August to make submissions, to compile submissions, but we are here now trying to tell you that, okay, this is how the bill looks, and actually you are too late to make comments now, and it happens a lot in our communities. There's a lot of exclusion. There's exclusion when it comes to education, but yet they expect communities to accept the fact that they bring in mining companies and they bring in laws that are going to govern the whole process of mining. And then they say to communities, so this is the mine, they're going to mine your land and you are going to take the laws from us. And if things go north, then so interesting point there, Phyllia. But also, my question to you would be, how do you think us as MACUA and other civil societies can tackle this issue of political education in our communities? How can we tackle political education? Yes, trying to educate communities, laws and stuff like that. Yes.
We definitely have to be deliberate about it. We need to be consistent about it. We need to be systematic about educating our communities around the laws and shaping different frameworks. Certainly, it cannot be that the government is holding these public participation sessions after the conversation. Because